Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Up Close and Personal. I am His Majesty. You know what my name is, Trudell McCray of the McCray Kings. I hope you guys are following us on all social media platforms, but today this forum is just for me. So we're doing a special interview with a special person. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him, but he is an icon in the gospel world, and he's a minister. He is an influencer, both in the church world and also in the secular world as well. And he's a friend of mine. I actually known him since childhood. So he's a friend of mine. I've considered him a friend of mine all of these years, even though we haven't seen each other in a long time. But without further ado, guys, I'm going to introduce you to our special guest here at Up Close and Personal. And his name is Kenton Rogers. There he goes.
Hey.
Hey, what's going on, Kenton?
Man, nothing much. All is going well. I am blessed and I'm highly favored, But and I'm thankful to God that I'm thankful to God for his anointing, but I'm also grateful for the reality that I understand that my heart is right, but my flesh is a mess.
Okay. I'm glad you said that. Listen. Y'all listen. Go ahead and put your churn away. Y'all know how we do. We're gonna have some grown folks talk. That's what we're doing. We just gonna have some grown folks talk because we all grown.
Yes, sir.
Kenton, you have quite a resume, I have to say. Now, Kenton, I knew we was kids. I think we knew each other at 10. We went to Canaan Baptist Church on what was that, 10th Ave? No, that was 11th Ave. 11th Ave and East 24th Street. Yeah.
Right.
Reverend Graham. Can I ask you, is Reverend Graham still with us?
No, he's deceased. He's the late Reverend Graham, and his son now has taken over the church. Barry.
Yes. Well, I know his son took over the church, but I didn't know if it was because he retired or what.
Yeah, he actually retired, and he took over and Barry took over as the pastor. And I want to say he was the pastor emeritus, but then after that, he actually passed away in transition.
Wow, that's something. Do you know my first experience to going to Canaan was I experienced him first. And I'll never forget it. You were a kid. You were in the Easter. My mother had told me I had never been to church. Well, I had been to church, but it had been years since I'd been to church. Okay. And I was about 9 years old. And my mother said, there's an Easter play going on at the church up the street. And see, I lived on East 24th Street and Broadway.
Okay.
So my mother was like, do you want to go? And I was like, yeah, I'll go. And I went. And I don't know why I was so compelled, but I was compelled to sit in the front. In the front were all the men. I saw all the men. Remember in Canaan how all the men would sit on the left-hand side in the front?
Right.
Well, I would go and sit with the men. And so I will never forget. I remember the suit he had on. I remember the way he smelled, everything, Reverend Graham. He was just so charismatic and so handsome. And I loved his voice. He had this voice, And, he's like, what are you doing up here? I said, I'm enjoying the play. And he said, how long have you been sitting here? I said, I've been sitting here the whole time. And he said, I've never seen such a diligent child want to sit in the front with all the men. I said, well, I'm a man, right? And he said, yes. I said, it's okay for me to sit here, isn't it? And he said, yes. I didn't even know I was talking to the Reverend of the church. Okay. I didn't even know I was talking to him. And that was my first experience of church, like really church. And then, of course, years went by and we got a little older and stuff like that. And Mr. Norris we were singing this song. Oh my God, I can't even remember what it was, but Pat Daniels was the lead singer. Now, you know Miss Pat can sing.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, she was the lead singer. And for some reason, Mr. Norris was pulling people out of the choir to come up and sing her part. And he called me, and I was like, "Oh, I don't want to do this," but I knew that I could sing, but I didn't know. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And so when it came time for me to sing, I sang it just like her. I sounded just like her because my voice hadn't changed at the time. I still had this high pitched voice. I knocked those people off their feet. People came from downstairs and they came upstairs to see who was that. And I was like a little Michael Jackson.
All right.
And I remember Mr. Norris said, "I'm going to give you a solo." And I was like, "Oh, no, 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 I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I can't do that, Mr. Norris." He said, "Oh, you're going to do it. You're going to do it." He said, if you feel like you don't want to do it by yourself, I'll have somebody do it with you." And so next time we went to came to choir rehearsal, he found somebody to sing the song with me. It was called "Heaven Belongs to You." And it was you.
All right.
It was you. And I had heard you sing before. So you were like, I thought you were amazing. I had heard you sing before. I just thought you were an amazing singer. But never, ever did I think that I was going to be able to sing, to lead a song with Kenton Rogers.
Oh,
Oh,
listen to you.
never
Stop
happened
it.
like that. No, I'm serious. Because I didn't have that. Like I could sing. You know, I had voice and stuff. But I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Like you knew. At that time you were singing like the adults were singing. So you had that soul, you had that in your voice. You was like, you know, just to give people the shivers and shouting and carrying on. That's the kind of voice you had, and you was just a little kid. And you were my age. And I wanted to relate to you so badly. I wanted to mimic you. And for the most part I did. But I have to tell you this. After we sang that solo, we don't need to sing it one time together. And it was at Highway Church of God in Christ. It was their anniversary.
Okay.
And Mr. Norris made us sing it. That was the only time we ever sang. We never sang it at church or anything like that. And I didn't really see you that often after that.
Okay.
I don't know why. I don't know why if you switched churches or what. I don't know why. I just didn't see you a lot. I mean, I was still on the choir and stuff. Um, but then as I got older, I moved over to a different church as well.
Okay.
I went from being Baptist to being Pentecostal. Hallelujah. I was Church of God in Christ. I was coaching. Yes, I was coaching. So the only time that I would see you perform is like when because you back then you had it going on.
Okay.
I don't know. Listen now, I don't know about today. I really just see what I see of you in social media. But back then, oh buddy, you had a band, you had backup singers, you had
Yes.
it all. And you would get up on that stage and you would sing, and people would be, I mean, they would be falling and passing out in the aisles, and the girls would just be shouting and carrying. And it was just Kenton. That was you. You just had this star quality. It was like, child, you was Bobby Jones as far as I was concerned.
Wow.
But you were I was just so amazed with you because I was like, here this guy is my age because we're about the same age. I think we're the same age. We're actually the same age.
Right. I'm 53.
Yeah,
I'm 53.
too. When is your
Okay.
birthday?
And I turned 53 July 6th. I turned 53.
Okay, so you just turned 53.
Yes.
Okay, I turned 53 in December. I'll be 54 December 15th.
Okay. So
So
you're a few months older than me.
yeah, what is your sign?
Cancer.
Joseph Cancers. Are they nice people? Joseph? Are cancers nice people? Oh, he said yes. He said yes. Cancers are
Yes,
nice
we're
people.
we're 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 really really loving people. We
Yeah.
probably love too hard. You know, we are some really deep down loving
Yeah,
people, and we're genuine.
my cousin Monica is a cancer, and she loves hard,
Yeah,
even though she,
nice people.
and you know what, even though she attracts the wrong type of men. I'm gonna
Yeah,
leave that.
we
I'm gonna leave
definitely
that
do
at the
that.
cross. I'm gonna leave it at the cross. Y'all have no, the wrong men are attracted to you people.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what it is. Because my cousin Monica, the guys that are attracted to her are not even on her level. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know why. And cancers do love hard. They do. Y'all love
yeah.
very, very hard.
And
And
we're very nice people.
very
But
loyal.
if you ever get the other side of us, you know,
Oh, yeah.
we'll hang on a long time. But when we cut you off, you cut off. Ain't no sense in trying to
Yeah.
get back
And
on.
y'all likes to fight. Yeah, y'all likes to fight. Because my cousin Monica, she likes to fight. Yeah,
We don't like to fight, but we will fight.
yeah, y'all will fight. And when y'all fight, it's like real. It's like, ooh, y'all better call somebody. Y'all, lady, pick up, go call somebody. Because
Right.
something get
Which
ready
is
to get
why
messed up.
which is why I have not had a fight in so long, because I know that if I have a fight, I have suppressed so much for so long. The one person that I end up having to fight with, I'm probably going to go to jail because I'm probably going to take out on them everybody else that I held my peace concerning.
Just see, that's me. That's me, Ken. Yeah, I will take it there, honey. I will be like, this is for every black man in the world, honey. I'm scared of all black men.
Right,
And be done
right.
tore somebody up. My husband's always laughing at me because I'm always talking about how the way you know what it is, Candy. I'm grown. See, I'm grown. I feel like I'm grown now. You know what I'm saying? I'm grown. Can't tell me what to do. But because I'm grown, the grown people, we don't fight like that. We don't be all out in the streets fighting and stuff. If you do something to us, we just knock you, period. And then you just go about your business. You know, that's how you get to older. And see, when you get older, you just get in this space. Like I'm in this space now. I feel like I can say whatever I want to.
Right.
Am I supposed to say nothing? Don't, what? What you say?
Yeah.
I know you ain't talking to me. You talking to me.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. And then I'm in this space where it's like it's okay. It's okay if you don't like me. It's okay if you don't like what I rock with. That's fine.
Right.
You know, I don't get hung up on people not liking certain things about me because I'm telling you, life is too short. People don't understand, honey, that the Lord placed us here. Well, we made a decision to come here, and the Lord
Right.
placed us here for a reason. You know,
Yes.
He took us. He sent us here to learn, and that's what we're doing. We're learning
Right.
different lessons. Everybody's learning different lessons, whether it be you learn about love, something before you leave this world. You've learned something. You have knowledge of oneself.
Right.
You know, so that's just the way I am. I just don't allow too many things these days to bother me. Now, if you put your
Right.
hands on me, we got another problem, honey. You just gonna get beat.
Exactly.
You just gonna do that's it. You gonna get beat. My husband is 6'4". That's it. I don't even have to
Is
say.
he? Is he 6'4"?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't look that tall.
Oh, yeah, Joseph is tall.
Wow. Okay.
He's a big
How
guy.
tall are you?
I'm 6 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm 6 foot. Even.
Okay.
Joseph.
I guess the camera make because he's sitting down doesn't make him look as tall as he really is.
Yeah, a lot of people think when they meet him, they be like, "Oh my God, he's so tall." And you know, I've said it 1,000 times. I guess people don't take me serious when I say that Joseph is really tall, and he's
Okay.
a big guy. His height matches his weight and everything. So
Okay.
he's a big guy. My husband's big. He got like big feet. They're like this
Okay.
and big hands.
All right.
You know, he's a big guy. But yeah, uh, yeah, my husband is a pretty big guy. Yeah. But yeah, getting back to us in our childhood, like I said, I would see you perform around Patterson, and I was so impressed because you had it together. And at the same time, I was a little bit envious and jealous because I wanted to be in your world. I did. I wanted to be up on stage singing and just like, oh my God. And one of my favorite songs that you used to sing was Rise Again. Oh my
All
God.
right.
You would tear that song up. Ooh.
Remember that.
Y'all, let me tell y'all something. Kenton used to, I don't even want to talk about it, y'all. Let me tell y'all something. Kenton used to get up on that stage and sing this song. It's called Rise Again. I would call I'll Rise Again or Rise Again.
Rise Again.
Yes. And he would go ahead, drop, and it would be so dramatic, and it would just be oh child, you would get chills. Like I used to get chills watching you sing this song because you just put so much of you into it. Like you was up there, you was singing. You was singing that song. Everybody can't do that like you was doing. I'm telling you, I was mad. I said,
well, guess what? Guess what? Let me tell you something. Look at how things have changed because now I want to be in your world.
What you mean?
I want to be. I'm enjoying this social media thing that you got going on, you know, and how excellent it is and how well put together and everything like that. I'm sitting here wishing I was in your world now.
It's hard. It's hard work. It is. But if you should ever need me, feel free to pick up the phone. You know how to get in contact with me. You got my heart. Don't you got my phone number?
Yes, sir, I do.
You know how to get in contact with me? Kenton, if you need anything from me, just tell me. I can do to help you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, first of all,
you know, I'm getting better. I have to get better at that because all of my life, you know, I'm so used to doing for others and always giving and giving and giving. And one thing that I heard the late Apostle Fred Price say some years ago, he said a lot of us don't know how to give because we don't know how to receive. Well, my thing is I've always been good at giving, but I haven't been well at receiving. You know what I'm saying? So I'm at a stage in my life where God has me where I have to receive because all in the past I never did. I was always the person that was in the place of giving. So it's difficult for me to ask people for anything, but we have not because we ask not.
Right. Well, I'll tell you this, like I tell everybody. Help is always available to those that deserve it in the McCray Kingdom. So, with that being said, if you should ever need me for anything, please don't hesitate to ask.
Yes,
and if I'm free, I can do it right then and there. If I'm not, I can, schedule something where I can help you.
Okay.
This is a lot of work. And we as content creators, as social media influencers, we have to stick together.
Right.
Really do. And we have to find, what I do is I try to find people that do what I do.
Gotcha.
And that's really it. I associate with a lot of people that do what I do. And because of that, we exchange little ideas and stuff. And, we tell each other about the latest software, the latest platform and things like that, the latest tools to have as a social media influencer.
Okay.
I'm actually putting together a master class on that where we talk about how to get started as a social media influencer, and a couple of other things. But yes, if you need me, Kenton, I'm here. Just ask me. Do you have a team at all? Do you have anybody that helps you, or are you just doing it by yourself?
I've been doing a lot of stuff by myself, but I'm in the process of trying to pull together a team because, I'll be so honest with you. A lot of people don't know how to stay in their lane, but I know how to stay in my lane. Like, I'm not really into all the technical stuff either myself. Yeah. Give me a microphone and let me be the creative piece. I'm good. All the other stuff, the finances, all that stuff, let somebody else handle that. I'm not even excited about doing that stuff.
But you know what? You got to have all the extra stuff in order to be successful. It really, all of this hoo-ha and stuff in the back and all that stuff is necessary for a reason. Well, it depends on what you want your brand to be. You know,
Right.
if you consider what you are a brand, you know, it depends on what you want to do, what you want to accomplish in social media. Do you just want to be an influencer that just influences? Or do you want to get sponsorships? And do you want to do red carpet events or motivational speaking? Or what do you want to do? You know, that's
Right.
what you have to make a decision on. Once you're able to make a decision on what you want to do, then you can pretty much facilitate, you know, what you need, what tools you need. Do you need a microphone? Do you need a stand? Do you just need a microphone stand and something to put your phone on? Because if you go live from your phone all the time, then that's it. You know, are you going to have a regularly scheduled show? Is it? Or are you going to go live a period of times? Are you not going to go live at all? And that's okay too. You know, a lot of people think that you know, you have to go live. You don't. You really don't. You can pre-read like this video. That's why we're having this conversation, because I can edit anything out I want, you know. And so, you know, you can pretty much do what you want, you know.
Okay.
Like editing and stuff like that. Man, please. I do this stuff in my sleep now. But
Okay.
I say, if you're going to have a team of people, like the only thing that I wish that I had, because my husband, oh my gosh, he gets on my nerves sometimes, but I would have a PA. And the reason why I'd say a personal assistant, I would have to do all my social media posting on my channel, on my page, my Facebook page, posting where I need them to post, making sure that things get done. A personal assistant would do that for you. If you're on your own.
Okay.
And, you know, be available on all social media platforms. You need to, if you're not on YouTube, you definitely need to be on YouTube. You definitely need to be there. That's the perfect place for you.
Okay.
And make sure that you make sure you're on all social media, even Twitter, on Instagram. Make sure you're everywhere you can be.
Okay.
And then the other stuff, it can wait. Like, you know, give yourself an opportunity to get your legs planted, you know, and handle all of the technical things and stuff like that, and get into the grind of doing things, you know. Like me now, I'll give you an example. My husband and I, we alternate days when we go on. Like I do my show Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. My husband does his shows on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Mondays. Well, Saturdays, I'm sorry. And so I like clockwork. I get up and I prep everything. I can prep this stuff in my sleep. I make sure the microphone levels are good. I make sure the computer is working. I make sure that he has something to drink here if he wants something to drink. I make sure that he has everything he needs sitting here before he sits down. You know, and that's just my machine. That's how I became accustomed in doing everything, is that, you know, I just developed this pattern for doing stuff. Once you get through the technical stuff, it's easy. It's like really easy. It's up to you. You have to make a decision on what your form is going to be. What do you want to do? You want to be a social media influencer? Okay, how you going to do that? How you going to do that? What you going to do? You're going to do hot topics. We're going to stay in the gospel world. You're going to do mukbangs. What you going to do? You know, and stick to that one thing. Stick to that one thing. And you know, that would be the thing that you, for the next year, are going to have to master. You're going to have to master learning how to speak to people on camera, looking up, and you know, all that other stuff that comes with it. You know, make sure that you articulate properly. or good enough for people to understand you. It ain't, I mean, you can use your accent because sometimes I don't say things the way people say them because I'm from the South, and sometimes my southernness kicks in. So, you know, just make sure that you are you. Just be you,
Okay.
whatever that is. If sometimes you say words are different than other people say them, then you just do. Don't get in your feelings about what's going on in your chat. There's going to be people there that are going to agree with you. There are going to be people there that disagree with you. There are going to be some people that's going to be real ignorant and say ignorant stuff.
Okay.
So you have to build a skin tough enough to just pay that stuff any mind because you're not that.
Right.
And that's what you have to constantly keep in your head because people will try you, especially if they know you're gay. They would try me.
Okay.
Like, they used to try my husband and I all the time. Like, who's the man and who's the woman and stupid stuff like that, And I, on one hand, would pay it no mind. My husband would be ready to go and find whoever it was and kill them. So
Wow.
it was that bad. So, but we even now up to this date we're much more professional now than we were 2 years ago.
Okay.
When we were starting out. But have a message. Know what your message is. And take it from there and have fun. If it's not fun, don't then get out. Just go on a hiatus or something. But if this is supposed to be fun.
Right.
Everything I do is fun. Like interviewing you, that's fun for me. I enjoy that. I enjoy interviewing people. I enjoy getting to know someone. I enjoy their story. You was almost Mr. Kenton. You was almost Mr. McCray. Well, I was almost Mr. Rogers at one time. When I was living in Virginia, child, I would send you messages and stuff like that. You would never ever respond back to me. I was like, oh, he's scared of me, child. I might be
Wow.
with him, child. Yeah, I thought you was scared of me. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was probably naive.
I used to send you some of the nicest messages, and you just would pay me no mind. I would get no answer.
Yeah, I was probably just naive.
I would be like, I want to believe that he ain't reading these messages, because if I believed he was reading these messages and he wasn't answering me back, honey, I'm gonna go and find him, I'll punch him in his face. But
I'm a late bloomer.
Yeah, you are. I've seen the evolution of you. I really have. There was a time where I could see on your face that there was something inside you wanted to tell somebody so bad. I don't know if it was an experience or what, but I remember this is when you were opening up your church in New York somewhere. I think it was in Brooklyn.
Okay. It was in Manhattan. In Manhattan.
Manhattan. And it was just something that you needed to get off your chest, and you just could not do it. It was just like, okay, it felt like you was like, okay, I'm going to tell y'all later. I'll talk to y'all about it later.
But you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. So much happened in my life. This whole evolution for me, period. The evolution of Kenton, sexuality and everything like that for me. It's been a journey.
I witnessed all of that. And you know what? Right. It happened very, very slowly. And the thing that I like about it is it always happened at the right time.
Okay.
It did. It happened at the right time for you. I always saw your realness. I always did. Like, you were never you were never a phony person off camera, on camera. You were just always yourself, your authentic self. Even though there were certain things that you wouldn't talk about, until you were one of these people, to me, I got from you, that we don't talk about something if he was comfortable with it, and if he knew what he was talking about. And that was you. And I had such a high, still do. I still have a very high respect for you. And like I said, that goes back to our childhood. You were just always so charismatic, um, and just knew what you. It just felt like you just knew what you wanted, and you just did it. You know,
Right.
that was the thing that I really respected about you because, like, you were a teenager, Kenton. You had
Hmm.
all this stuff going on. You were a teenager.
Yeah.
You know, it
Yeah.
was.
I started out very young.
Yeah, you did. You started out entertaining.
Right.
Entertaining. Like I worked in the entertainment industry for 20 years, but you started entertaining before you were 10.
Right.
You know.
And I think that's when you say you don't know whether I went to another church. I didn't go to another church as quickly as I had become very active. I ended up singing with a group of men that were probably in their 50s and 60s called the Mighty Stars of Harmony. You
Uh-huh.
know, when I was about 11, and we would travel over the country. So every week I was going out with them to rehearse over in Elizabeth, New Jersey, because I was born in Patterson, of course. And we would go to Elizabeth every Tuesday for rehearsal. Weekends we would do concerts at places, and so I wasn't necessarily at church as much as I used to be at that period of point. And I had not left Canaan Baptist Church yet
Oh,
because I
really?
didn't leave Canaan until I was about 17 years old, and I went to a church over in Jersey City called St. Matthew's Baptist Church, and
Okay.
that's where I actually went into ministry there.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, at the age of 17.
Wow, that's something.
Yeah. But they brought a bus over from Canaan Baptist Church, and a lot of cars came over to support because by that time I had left. And you know what? When I share some things, even experiences with your experience with Reverend Graham and my experience with Reverend Graham were two different experiences. You know
Really?
what I'm saying? Because my experience with him is that I studied him as I was a kid. I believe that I am the preacher that I am today because of Reverend Graham. I believe that technically Reverend Graham is my father in the ministry. He
Really?
did not license and ordain me, but he's my father in the ministry because he's the one that I set up under and he planted seeds in me. But
Oh,
when I
really?
knew that God had called me to the ministry, he didn't make time for me as a young kid. Now,
Uh-huh.
he was good with me coming to sing, you know, but when I went to him and say, hey, I need to talk to you, you know, and I wanted to tell him that God was calling me into the ministry and everything like that, his words to me at that time was, "You can't preach what you don't know." And the truth of the matter is, he was absolutely right. You can't preach what you don't know, you
Right.
know. But I didn't understand that as a child. Him
Right.
saying it the way that he said it. You know what I'm saying? Had he
Uh-huh.
sat me down and had that conversation with me, he probably would have gotten more reception from me as to what he was saying. Now I know now what he meant, and the reason why I can say I know that now is because I feel like I've lived my life backwards. I feel like the things that I was doing when I was a kid is what I should be doing now, and the things that I'm doing now are some things I should have been doing when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah, because
waited until
you were like always, and that was another thing, your maturity. It was just so much older in my eyes because you were surrounded by so many people that were older than you, but you knew how to talk to those people. You knew how
right.
to talk and walk the walk. You were very respectful to everyone, and you were just you were just amazing to see. You know, you were
And you
special.
know, and speaking of that, the fact that you mentioned that when I was 11 years old, Reverend Graham would let me rent the church, use the church to sponsor concerts and stuff like that. This is before I went to tell him that I had a call to the ministry. And do
Mhm.
you know, I remember when I was 11 years old, I sponsored a concert at the church, and I got Timothy Wright, you know, and
Mhm.
I got Alvin Darling, and I got the Rugged Cross Singers. Now, when Timothy Wright got there, Timothy Wright wanted to know who it was. He was looking for Kenton Rogers, right?
Mhm.
And I was only 11 years old. He didn't know that it was an 11-year-old that had spoke with him on the phone and discussed him coming to sing. And I remember when I called him about coming because we had the Patterson Mass Choir at the time,
Uh-huh.
and I called him to come for an event, and he asked me for $1,000. I said, $1,000? I ain't got no $1,000. You know, I said, can you come for less than that? So he agreed to come for $500. But every one of those singers that I invited to come and negotiate didn't have a contract with them or nothing. I told them they were going to get a certain amount of money, and I made sure they got what I said they were going to get. When we took up the offer that night, the offering wasn't enough. I went back to the people at 11. I said, y'all, I'm sorry, but I need some more money. You know, and the older people really supported me because I was such a young child doing something so positive at that time. But Timothy Wright sung, Alvin Darling and the Alvin Darling Ensemble sung, the Rugged Cross Singers, they sang, and every one of them got paid. But they didn't know that when they talked to me, they would talk to 11-year-old that said that he was going to pay them $500. And I ain't had a dime to my name, but I had some faith.
Okay, I know that's right. Listen, that was another question I was going to ask you. How was it? How did you, as a kid, deal with this stuff? Like, how was it being a child that was talented and had to do all these things? You had to wear all these hats, you know, and you had to sing. And, you know, people would look at you and people looked up to you for so many different reasons because you were ministering at that time. You were not just singing, you were ministering at that time.
They called me a bootleg preacher then.
Oh, is that what they were calling you? Because you were ministering. Like if you said I'm starting a church and I knew about it, I'd have been there.
Okay.
You know, I'd have been, and then I would have been your right hand man, whatever you needed, you know, because that's how much I believed in you.
Wow.
You were oh God, Ken, you don't even understand the power that you had at that time. How I would look at ladies like in church, sitting in the pews, and when you would sing, how they would just pass out. Or just get the Holy Ghost. Just start shouting. Like, say they had to come and get the stretcher for some of these girls because they had wore that out so bad, shouting, child. And you were a phenomenon. You were. And then I remember, I never forget the first time I saw you with all your lights and your bells and whistles and everything. It was in I think it had to be in 96 or 97. You came to
when I released my second album.
You came to Eastside High School.
Okay.
And I never forget the two songs two of the songs that you sang that I know you sang were Rise Again and Do Not Pass Me By.
Okay.
And people got saved that night. I mean, people got saved. They wanted, just because you were singing, people were just getting saved. They were just, you know, the minister that night was calling people to the altar, and they were coming in the drones.
Wow.
From you singing. And I'm telling you, Eastside High School Auditorium, you had that place packed, number one. Number two, I mean, there were people up on the second level that were just like that place. You had that place, the anointing was there.
Yeah.
It really was. It was, yeah. And we were young, and you know, a lot of people didn't think, you know, when we were young, if you were that young and you were able to do the things that you were doing, you were like amazing. You know, Kenton, you were just like, and I think you were a minister at that time. If we would call you Minister Kenton Rogers.
Well, I had not, you know, people would call me that, but I had not actually, I guess what you call preach my initial sermon, and you know what I'm saying, or what they call back there your trial sermon. So I was a minister of music, but I had not been at that point. I had not escalated to the preaching ministry yet, and that's why people call me a bootleg preacher, because I would preach in between my songs and stuff like that.
Yeah, you would. I remember that. So where have you been all these years? What have you been doing?
I have been living and growing and evolving, you know, and I'm grateful for my childhood. You know, but at my childhood, a lot of what I did it from an innocent place. I didn't really know a lot, you know, so I really was totally dependent upon God, you know, at that point in my life, and I'm still depending on him. But the reality is that I've also grown, and I have even when it comes to the scriptures, I don't look at the scriptures all the same way. I believe that the scriptures are very layered,
Yeah.
and there are you can take a scripture and there could be a number of different definitions and information that you can get from beyond that scripture based upon where you are in your growth level. You know what I mean? When you're a child, you think as a child, you do things as a child. You have to learn things from the elementary understanding first before you can build on that and have a greater understanding or a deeper level of understanding of that same scripture. When I came up as a child, I had to learn how to learn my 1, 2, 3s first before I could learn my and then I learned my ABCs. You know what I'm saying? And then I had to learn what 1 plus 1, addition, simple addition and subtraction, and then multiplication and division. And then you get up into your algebra and geometry and trigonometry and calculus and all of that stuff later. But if you didn't get the beginning basics of your 1, 2, 3s, you'll never be able to get to the point of being able to do geometry and calculus.
Right.
And so I'm grateful to God for the evolution from the time that I was a child. And I can honestly say that when I was a child, I thought as a child. When I was a baby in Christ, I did things as a baby in Christ. But now I've grown up, man. And I know things that I don't, and I don't say everything that I know because everybody is not necessarily ready for everything that I know.
Right.
But the same God that brought me into this knowledge, see, I deal with it even when it comes to the sexuality issue. Most people don't deal with it the same way that I deal with it. But I believe that God is love and love is for everybody. And the church has had a whole lot of biases when it comes to the LGBTQ community, you know what I'm saying? But they didn't have nothing to say about the pastor who was preaching and had 3 or 4 different women in the church pregnant. But they ain't had no problem with that. But they had a problem with the person, you know what I'm saying, that was a part of the LGBT community. And the reality is that God loves everybody.
Right.
He loves all of us. You know what I'm saying? And there's no one that's any better or any worse than anybody else. There are some things that are perceived as evils. You know what I'm saying? But that doesn't mean that it's evil just because someone perceives it that way. You know what I'm saying? Because I find out and there's someone knocking at my door. I don't even know who that is at this point in time. I'm gonna get up and go answer it real quick. You know what I mean? But after I make my point, since we're recording this, but I just believe that people need to learn to just love people. You know what I mean? It ain't none of your business who people loving and who they sleeping with. You need to know who you loving and who you sleeping with. But we mind other people's business. It ain't none of our damn business.
You're right. You are so right.
And you can keep that word damn in there. I'm going to go open my door real quick.
Okay. Oh. Oh. Did you come out already?
I'm actually recording an interview. I was actually recording an interview with someone. And so I had to stand up from that and we had to take a break because but I do not have one. No, I don't.
Somebody called you on. Darn it, that's what I forgot.
You're welcome, Kenton. I'll be right there.
All right.
Yes. Okay. All right. So we're back. Okay.
I'm here.
Listen. Yeah. Which and I love the way you answered that question, which leads up to what else I was going to ask you. You know, what? When did you realize you could sing? Like you looked in the mirror, you was like, "Oh, I can sing."
You know what? I learned that I could sing because of Reverend Lewis Norris. I was a part of the Canaan Baptist Church Young Adult Choir. and I was singing with them. And one day he tried me out lead on a song. And the first song I ever sung was a song called "I Don't Know Why Jesus Loves Me." That's the first song that I sung. And I remember he stood me up on that second Sunday for the first time I was going to sing on the piano stool, at Canaan Baptist Church. And I sung that song, "I Don't Know Why." And that kicked it off for me in my life. You know what I'm saying? He's the one that noticed something in me, and pulled it out of me. So I have to give honor and praise to God, but at the same time, I have to give honor and praise to him as well for him being obedient to see something in me and to pull it out of me and to hone what he saw inside of me out of me. And then I had people like him and Lloyd Reese, you know what I mean? And even the late Reverend Lagarde. After that, I was singing. He would invite me to do a lot of the civil social events when what was her name? Rosa Parks came to town, and when they would have different luncheons and civil luncheons, and on Martin Luther King Day and stuff, and when they had the revival that you were talking about at Eastside High School, you know what I'm saying? And I was about to say, we need to get together, and come into an associate and take something back to Patterson, take something to Patterson, to Eastside High School.
Yeah. It's not a high school anymore.
It's not.
No, it's a vocational school now.
Are you serious?
Yes, they turned you into a vocational school.
Wow, that's how long it's been since I've been there.
Curriculum is nothing like it used to be when I went there. Did you go to Eastside?
I did.
You did? I went to Eastside High School. I was on a marching band and everything. They don't even have a marching band or anything. It's different. And you're right. You're absolutely right. The neighborhood has changed. The dynamic of the neighborhood has changed a lot. I don't know if for the better or for the worse, because I very rarely get to Patterson. Although my church, the church that I used to go to, is in Patterson, New Christian Tabernacle.
Okay.
Right up there on Main and Market.
Where Farrar used to be. His daughter is the pastor now, isn't she?
Yes, Donna Farrar. Yes.
Okay.
So, I think we just crossed paths. So, because I was in that world where you were, but I was just in a different place, and I think, because we would cross paths. I would get to see you sing like once in a blue moon because you were doing something. I remember when, was it Shirley Caesar? Yeah, Shirley Caesar.
Yes.
Remember she used to come to the college?
Yep, do her outreach.
Yes. And I would get to see you sing. You would come out. You were like a tree. I call you an icon in Patterson. You were one of Patterson's icons.
Okay.
And you wouldn't believe who I'm related to. I'm related to the Gospel Highlights. Those are my cousins.
I used to sing with the Highlight Juniors with Eric McKenzie and the Highlight Juniors.
Eric McKenzie and I are really good friends. We went to Eric, and Fruity and who else was it? It was Duke.
Their brother Dick. We called him Dick, the bass player.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We had fun back then, man. I don't know. Church, like Kenton, church was more than just God and being holy and stuff like that for us. It was just fun. We had fun being little gentlemen dressed up in suits and just, fellowshipping with one another. The fellowship was so great back then, guys. That's what I loved. And I don't know about you, but I never really had problems in church with my homosexuality. I never tried to hide it or anything like that.
Right.
But the guys just respected me. I never got ridiculed or teased, not in church. Other places, but not in church. I was always respected because I could sing.
Well, you know what? I will say this, if you don't mind me butting in with that, because for me, again, my life was I don't think people know I necessarily was made fun of, but I do remember my mother telling me, and this is a story I'll share with you here too. My parents, had asked me about 2 times about my sexuality, right? And I told them no. And then one day I said to I said to a friend of mine, that I was dating at that particular time, I said, I got this feeling that my parents are going to ask me again about my sexuality. And I said, and if they ask me again, I'm going to tell them yes. Well, you wouldn't believe that the very same day that I said that to him, this is how spiritually in touch I was as a young kid, man. Because the same day, it was like my parents heard me telling him this, and they weren't even home from work. But when they got home from work, they called me upstairs in the den of the house, because we had a den upstairs, because I grew up on Madison Avenue in Patterson between 11th and 12th Avenue.
Oh, okay. I know right where that is.
Right next to the radiator station with the tire shop, And they called me up there that day, and when they called me in there, they said to me, begin to ask me again, what's this we hear about someone around here being gay? I was probably about 19 at that period of time. I was already preaching by then. And I said to my parents at the time, I said, well, let me ask y'all a question. I said, you have asked me this twice before, and I told y'all no. And you asking me a third time. So obviously you all don't believe what I'm saying. So my question to you all is, what if I told you yes? You know what I'm saying? And that was at 19 years old. And my mother said, I remember so quickly, it was without pause. She said, you're my son, Kenton, and I'm going to love you anyhow. Right? My father was back there just go like he was about to have a fit. He didn't know what he was about to hear at that point. But as soon as my mother said to me, you're my son, Kenton, I'm going to love you anyhow, I said, well, yes, I am. And I said, and now that y'all know, it's something y'all have to deal with. Because I wasn't telling you so y'all didn't have to deal with it. But since y'all want to keep asking, then now you know, and now y'all can deal with yourself, because I don't consider it to be a problem. Y'all consider it to be a problem, but it's a problem for you and it ain't a problem for me. And I remember that day, but again, my life was different, because at the age of 14, when I knew that God was calling me into the ministry, I had not even been involved with anyone sexually. You know what I'm saying? But being involved with someone sexually or not does not change whether there is an attraction to the same sex or not. You know what I'm saying? I just wasn't having sex because I was a late bloomer. You know what I'm saying? When it came to acting, but it didn't mean that I didn't know that I had an attraction to the same gender.
Were there whispers, rumors?
Oh yeah, they used to say to my mother and stuff, watch out for him because he's special. He's special.
What about in the church world? Did you hear any rumors about yourself? Or
well, see, the older folks used to say, they were so nice about it because they called it special. Be careful, watch out for him. He's special. But that was what they were saying. But I don't remember nobody ever really give me anything negative other than the stuff that I got that was negative, because just being around a family. You know what I'm saying? You kind of hear things, so you know that in their mind that this is something that they have a bias to, even though you didn't see it as a bias then. But they were biased. But I promise you that my mother at one time said she hated gay people. You know what I'm saying? But then she ended up having a child that she learned was same gender loving, and she had to love him. You feel what I'm saying? So I remember even my mother ended up coming to my church and joining the church when I started to pastor the church at about 20, 21 years old or something like that. And she said the day that we was going to have our first service that week, God spoke to her while she was driving and said, follow Kenton. And she said, Lord, what you say? And she said, the Lord said, I said, follow Kenton. And she said, I had to pull my van over to the side of the road. And I said, Lord, you mean to tell me you want me to follow my son, knowing everything that I know about him? And she said, God said to her, I said, follow Kenton, but you keep your eyes on me. You know what I'm saying? So that's my experience. Why I didn't go through a whole lot of the guilt that a whole lot of people go through and shame about their gender, because at 14, before I even went into the ministry, I went on a 4-day fast, drinking water only. And I said to God, if you want me to preach your word, you got to take this away. Well, what was he taking away from me? A thought? Because I hadn't been active. I
Right.
hadn't had sex with anybody, but it was enough for me to know you need to take this away from me. You follow what I'm saying? Because that was what I was around, those kind of thinking people.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying? And you hear people say some of the craziest shit. Excuse my language. You hear them say things like, God created Adam and Eve. He didn't create Adam and Steve. Well, the reality is that God created Adam, Eve, and Steve.
Right.
Whether you want to accept or not, he created Adam. And so when I hear people say that, all that lets me know is how ignorant they are. Do
Yeah.
people ever stop and think that originally the reason even for heterosexuals coming together was to create and to multiply and to fill and to have dominion upon the earth? Well, now there's 700, what is it, 700 million or 700 billion people upon the face of the earth. Do they not understand that God actually had, and most people won't accept this, but he had to add those things in there for population control? The population of this world would be overflowing already. We couldn't even last upon the earth. We're already in great numbers. If everybody had the same level of love where you only love someone of the opposite sex, we would be overcrowded. So God added the sexuality thing in there, whether people want to accept it or not, whether they come to the river for population control.
That's so true. I believe that. That makes sense. It does. It makes sense. So it sounds to me like you felt this way for a long time, Kenton.
Yes.
But it sounds also like you sound like me, like Kenton. I kid you not. I really didn't come out as who I am, meaning I'm just free. I feel free to do, say, and be whatever I want. And whatever it is Tramel is supposed to be, he's going to make sure he accomplishes that. I don't care what it is. From my hair, from my face, from everything. I didn't get that independence until I was about 50 years old.
Okay.
Prior to that, I was always doing what everyone else was doing. I wanted to fall suit with what everybody else was doing. I wanted to make sure that my mother was okay with me. Everybody, like my mother and father, like you. My father came to me and asked me, about my homosexuality. He couldn't even say the word. He couldn't even say the word. He was like, Tramel, are you that way? I said, what, Daddy? He couldn't even say the word. I kid you not. It was a kiki. He was like, are you that way? I said, so what are you talking about? What? You know what I'm talking about, boy. You got a little sugar in your tank. You funny? That's what he said, you funny? And I said, and see, I could never lie to my father or my mother like that, like about the serious things. I ain't gonna sit here and tell you I was this perfect child that never lied, but I couldn't lie to my mother and father about serious life changes or things in life. And I told my dad said, he asked me, he said, I finally got, I said, if you're asking me if I'm gay, then the answer to your question is yes. And to make a long story short, I ended up in the hospital for about 2 weeks. But I made it through, My dad,
they put me in the hospital for a week?
Yeah, my father put me in the hospital for about 2 weeks. Yeah.
Okay.
He knocked me out like a lion.
Wow.
But that was a long time ago. My dad got arrested, so he was still a good man. He just, as a parent, he took it the way he took it. Let me ask you this. How do you look at parents that just react negatively to their children when they ask them this? I mean, when they get this answer to this question, like, Mom, Dad, I'm gay. How do you feel about those parents that react negatively? Hold on one second. What is your feeling? And if and when you've ever come upon something like that, how do you handle it?
Well, what's my feelings? I just feel like a lot of people have misinformation, and I think a lot of time people try to talk about things that they have no experience with. Listen, you can't say whether a person is born black, you know what I'm saying, if you weren't born black or not. You know what I'm saying? The
Right.
reality, I was born black. I didn't have no choice in what color I was going to be. I was born to the Rogers family. I didn't have a choice in what family I was going to be born to. You know what I'm saying? And the reality is that God has a garden of diversity. I think, but a lot of times the stuff that we read in the scriptures, a lot of stuff in the scriptures has been changed, you know what I mean, to say something that it didn't actually originally say the way that it's actually said. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
And
you
so,
know, I halfway believe something like that. I halfway believe that, The reason why is because I find so many times, didn't mean to interrupt you, Ken, but I find so many times that there are ministers like, I remember I was watching Ayanna Van Zapten and the Pace sisters were on there. And they were saying how their father structured their lives and he told them things that weren't true just to keep them in line. And, there's just so many ministers back then that planted these seeds of hate into the ears of their congregations, whether it be Baptist, Catholic, Pentecostal. I just believe that that seed was planted by a majority of ministers back in our day. Hence, that's why we have such a big issue with homosexuality in the Black community because of the naivety of it all. People, people go by majority of people in our community, they go by word of mouth. They go by what they've experienced. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the biggest issues with homosexuality in the Black community is that it's the ignorance of it all. The it's in the Bible. I've asked many preachers, many ministers, many people that I've gotten into a debate about homosexuality, and they feel very strongly that you're going to hell. I know people that really feel strongly that if you're homosexual, you're going to hell, and I have to go. I have to correct them. Where is it? Where is it? Find me one passage in the Bible that says that homosexuality is a sin and that we're going to hell for it. Nobody could ever show me that. Now there's apostles and different men that talk about men lying with men and things like that, but I've never seen a scripture ever that says that if you're gay, you're going to hell. I've never seen it before. I've never seen anything in the Bible that says that homosexuality is a sin. I've never seen it. And it's like you said at the beginning with the double standard, when it comes to us being homosexual versus a girl being pregnant out of wedlock. A minister can go and sleep with one of the parishioners, and all he got to do is say, "Oh, the Lord showed me the light, and I'm gonna change." And they will just forget about what he did to this lady, and she's called the whore. She's the one with the baby. It happens in churches all over the place, and so I'm like you. Well, fortunately for me, I found the church. Listen, my husband and I like I said, I was Church of God in Christ for 28 years, and when I was getting ready to get married, I was doing my thing for my deaconship, at my church. And when my pastor got wind that I was going to be marrying a man, she said, "Oh, he will never be a deacon in my church." So I had to make a decision. Okay, I first had to process that the pastor did not agree with me as a person in my life. And nor did she agree that I should be a deacon in the church simply because I'm gay and I'm marrying a man. So I had to make a hard decision. Do I let it pass and or do I leave my church and find a new church home? And I made the decision to find a new church home. And here's why. Because I was getting married, you know, and my husband is a man of God, just like I'm a man of God. And we wanted to be able to go to church together and worship God together. And so I made a promise to myself. I said, God, I know that, we don't need church. Church is just a tool for us to use. So either me going to church or not going to church is not my ticket into heaven anyway. So with that being said, Lord, I don't want to go back to church until I can find a church where me and my husband can worship God together. And I made that commitment. I made that promise to God. And God said, don't worry, I'll find you a church home. And I found a church home, and I go to Unity Fellowship Church of Newark.
All right.
Which is
Pastor Kevin Taylor.
Pastor Kevin Taylor. That's my pastor.
Yes.
And the church, the Archbishop is Carl Bean.
I know Bishop Beam, Archbishop Beam.
Yeah. He wrote a very popular song called I Was Born This Way.
Yes.
And
from a little baby boy.
Yes, it was called the Gay National Anthem, the Black Gay National Anthem. I'm back at church. I'm back in church, back participating in church.
Awesome.
Which is just, I'm just blessed to have Kevin Taylor. I tell you, that man has changed my life. He has changed my life. He has changed my perception. He has changed the way in which I look at my marriage, the way I respect my husband, the way he respects me. Oh God, beyond the pulpit, he is an excellent man. He is phenomenal, just phenomenal.
Yes, he is.
Yes.
Yes, he is. And in reference to what you were saying about, and you asked me about what do I say to parents, I say to them, number one, read the scripture, number one, but read it with an open heart and an open mind, and ask yourself, all of us have sinned and come short of the glory of God, but God still loves us unconditionally. And I'm careful to say that because I want people to know that I believe, that everybody is not in the same situation. I believe that you have three categories of sexuality when you come to people. You have people who are, number one, born that way. I don't believe that every person that is gay or homosexual was born that way. You understand what I'm saying? But I do believe that there are people who are gay and lesbian who were born that way. And when you're born that way, there's nothing you can do. You can do all that you want to do to get deliverance from it. The best you're going to come to is being celibate. But that's not, celibacy ain't deliverance. You can have a person that's a heterosexual that's celibate. They're going to still be heterosexual whether they have sex or not. And you can have a person that's gay, that's celibate, but they still gay whether they have sex or not. Because they're being gay ain't got nothing to do with just the way that they have sex. It has to do with the way that they are genetically wired. You know what I'm saying? And people don't understand that. But now we also have to listen. I'm not a tranny. Or transsexual, excuse me, pardon me, I didn't mean to say that. I'm not a transsexual, but I respect transsexuals because I understand that there are some that are born into this world that they believe that they were born into the wrong body, and I believe that does happen.
Oh, you can start preaching up in here. Go on.
I believe that does happen. You understand what I'm saying? And so I just learned the best thing to do is just love people. One thing for sure, God is not going to judge me for what someone else does. He's only going to judge me for what I do. You understand what I'm saying? So we need to just keep our mouths off of other people and learn how to love people the way that God loved us. God loved us with all of our faults. God loved us with all of our shortcomings. And you hear a lot of people say, well, God loves them, but he hates the sin. Well, guess what? He don't like no kind of sin. But why does it have to be sin? Because when a person is born that way, all their being is who they are. Just like a black person can only be black, he can't be white if he was born black,
Right.
and you can't be black if he was born white.
Right.
It is what it is. So that's one category. Then you have people who I believe are situational homosexuals. I don't believe everybody is a situational homosexual, but you have people who are in prison, cut off from people who are of the opposite sex.
Right.
But they don't lose their sex, their cravings for sex just because they're cut off from people who are the opposite sex. And they're in jail and they tend to participate, in homosexual activities while they're in this. Some of them come out and go back to living a heterosexual life.
Right.
And then some realized while they were in there, it wasn't that it was a situation, they were actually born gay. They just realized it while they was on the inside.
But a lot of people don't understand that. And then
and then you have thirdly, you have those people who may have been molested or something or introduced to it when they were a child. But guess what? I know people who were molested who are same gender loving. And they say, yeah, I was molested, but I was going to be gay anyhow, whether I was molested or not, because I knew that I still had attraction to the same gender.
Right.
And everybody, that's why I like the term that they use now, MSM, because you have a whole lot of people who are MSM, men who have sex with men that do not consider themselves to be gay. They consider themselves to be straight. Some of them consider themselves to be bisexual. Some of them consider themselves like me to be pansexual. You know what I'm saying? Now, I've been with more men than I've been with women, but I've been with women as well. You understand what I'm saying? I don't choose who I'm going to be with based upon gender binaries. It has to do whether my heart connects with them. You know what I'm saying? And if my heart don't connect, I don't care whether you're male or female, we ain't going to do nothing.
Right.
And then finally, I realized with me, a major thing with me had nothing to do with my sexuality. It had to do with my addiction to sex.
Yeah.
And I had an addiction to sex because I wanted to be loved. You know what I'm saying? And I was looking for love and replacing sex for love. But sex don't mean love. You can have all the sex you want, but that don't mean it's love.
How many times have you found love?
Huh?
How many times have you found love?
Exactly. How many times have I found love? No, we're about to look for me some love. Because I don't think I ever found love.
Have you been in love? Have you ever been in a relationship, like a full relationship?
You know what? I have been in a relationship before, but can I honestly tell you that I'm 52 years old now. I started dating even before I was 17, but I did not become sexually active until I was 17 years old, and I can honestly say every person I've been in a relationship with, nothing has ever lasted more than a year. So I don't know what it is to have anything long term.
Wow. Would you like to have something long term?
I would like to have something long term. I don't know sometimes if I'm damaged to the point where I got a lot of healing that I need to do so that I don't bring the baggage into a relationship. You understand what I'm saying? But I would love that. But
like
see, I see
things like that. Are you talking about?
What was that?
What are you talking about when you say, you don't want to bring the baggage? What type of baggage would it be? Like, what does some of it look like?
I think some of the baggage looks like for me is that for so long in my life, when I have been in a relationship, people have accused me of cheating, only to find out that they were the one cheating while they were accusing me of cheating. So what I learned to do to offset that is I started telling people, listen, I'm polyamorous. You know what I'm saying? Because I figure if you don't come into a relationship expecting me to just be with you, if you can handle the fact, not that I'm going to be with a bunch of people, but can you handle? Because I'm not looking to go into a relationship and you accuse me of cheating with someone, I'm not cheating with them. So can you handle me being in a relationship with you and me being with someone else other than you? Because if you can't do that, then you got to be able to love me like I can love you beyond you being with someone else. I don't care who else you with. You know what I'm saying? All I want to know is that you respect me in what we have together.
So
You know
what
what I'm
is the
saying?
preference now? Are you just wanting to be in a monogamous relationship, or
You know what? I wouldn't mind it, but all of my life, that is what I believed I was in, only to find out that I wasn't in that. And so I stopped expecting that.
Was it because of the DL men? Were you a part of that little club?
Of what, the DL?
Yeah, did you deal with a lot of DL men, or were you DL?
Well, I definitely wasn't DL. You know, I'm private and discreet. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't feel like everybody needs to know what I'm doing in my bedroom. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? But I'm
right.
not DL because a lot of the time people used to ask me about. I remember even at Legree Baptist Church in New York, they put out an article and they questioned me, the reporter, about my alleged sexuality, right? Homosexuality. And I said to him in response, I said, well, they accused me of sleeping with all the women as well. And so when they wrote in the Amsterdam News, they wrote that Rogers skirted over the question about his homosexuality by saying, oh, quote, they accused me of sleeping with all the women as well. Well, you know what? By them just putting that in there, automatically people assume that I am gay, because if I wasn't, they would have expected me to say, oh, I'm heterosexual. Because
Right,
most people expect that if a person is heterosexual and they ask if they're gay, they're just going to deny it. But I know a
right.
whole lot of people that deny being gay or sleep with other men that sleep with other men all the time. I know a bunch of married men who do it.
Uh-huh.
I mean, heterosexually married men who, and their wives know it.
Me too. Did you ever have now, because your walk was in the gospel world and in the church world. I'm assuming.
Hmm.
I'm just assuming. Did you have those ministers or bishops that, just looked at you and said, Kenneth, let's let's just do this. You know what I'm
You know
saying?
what? I will be honest with you. The first gentleman that I've ever listen, I had a thing for women. I liked women back in the day too, and I still have a thing for women, for particular ones. You know, I'm a little harder on women
Me
than
too.
I am on men.
Me too.
You know what I'm saying?
I
But I
feel
can see a woman and think she's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? I may even have a taste for some pussy every now and then too. It's just not all the time.
right, right. I get
Not
no,
most of the
I get you.
time.
I get
You
you.
know?
For me, I get to like for me to mess with a woman, she got to be the pretty. She got to be
Right.
the one that everybody just wants.
Yeah.
That's the one I want. If
You
you
know what?
do that, then
Right.
it's not
And
worth
you
it.
know what? Nowadays, when people ask me, are you homosexual? I tell them I'm not homosexual, neither am I heterosexual. I'm just sexual.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
You
I'm
know,
the
I'm
same
just
way.
sexual. I like what I like when I want it.
I mean, some people look at me and say, "You can't get no cake. You married? You're married to a lady." They be like, "What are you talking about?" But I don't. First of all, I don't like titles. I don't like labels. Well, I do like titles, but I don't like labels. I don't like the
Labels. I hate them.
I don't like this non. My husband says, "Well, Terrell, you're kind of like in the non-binary section." I said, "Well, what the hell is that? What is non-binary, binary or whatever?" And when he broke it down for me, I was like, "Okay." But see, I'm much more than that, Ken. You can't even put. Listen, I'm so all over. You can't put no label on me.
That's
You
right.
can't. You just can't. I just, when people say, "And who are you?" or "What are you?" "What are your pronouns?" I just say, I, I'm just me. I'm just Terrell McRae. That's it.
I am that I am.
Yeah, yeah. I am king. They get real in their feelings when I say, they say, "What would you like for me to call?" "Well, you can call me His Majesty." What? I'm not calling you. Call you what? Yes, call me His Majesty. That's my name. You know, and that's just who I am. I've never been one to be held down by titles and stuff like that. And because when I was a kid, I was ridiculed so badly, and that's one of the reasons why I don't do names. I was called
Right.
the F word child to the point where it was just numb. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm that. Okay, so you go right along with that. It was just that's how it was for me. And then I dealt with colorism. I dealt with the fact that I was so dark skinned, that people didn't want to be seen with me. They didn't want to play with me when I was a kid, you know. And so I spent a lot of time by myself. And so people like you, I would see people like you and be inspired by them in the sense that, I knew I could sing, you know, but I was like, I want to be a singer just like Kenton Rogers. I want to do it just like you do. I have my own band. I'm telling you, I went through the whole thing, Kenton. With my own band, I got my own backup singers. You had the work. Like I thought you, child, you could have been Michael Jackson.
All right.
Michael Jackson for me. I was like, I was so impressed with you when we were kids. I really was. I was like, how did he do all of that? How did you do all of that?
Man, because I didn't know no better.
Really?
I didn't know better. No one had talked me out of it yet. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you come into this world, you come in here with this freedom and this liberation. We learn to hate. We're taught to hate ourselves. We learn to hate different things. We're taught to hate different things. But I was a loving person, and I was at the closest place to my being born. And so I was at a very genuine place. I didn't know nobody better. Nobody told me that I couldn't do what I was doing. You know what I'm saying?
Was your father proud of you? Were they like really proud of you?
They were. They were very, very proud of me. I thank God for them.
So where did your music take you to? Where did it take you?
Wow, man. My music has not taken me as far as I would like to go, but it has taken me to many places. I have been to Ireland. I have been to Japan a number of times. I have been all throughout the United States of America. I've been to the UK, to England. I've traveled and done cruise ships. I have 2 CDs out and a number of compilation projects that I'm on. I have R&B music out there as well as gospel music out there. I'm a writer, I'm a singer, I'm a producer. I've done musicals. I've done the Black Nativity with Tony Terry. And I've done other plays. I've done God's Creation back in the day with William Keebler Hardy Jr. from out of Patterson.
Yes.
Yes. And yeah. So God has allowed me to see a lot of things, However, back in 2019, I had a second stroke. And the second stroke took away my higher register. So I don't have the same voice that I used to have. And I'm learning to make the adjustment to not being able to sing the songs that I have recorded unless I change the key. And when you start changing keys to songs that you recorded, they don't necessarily sound the same.
You have to transpose the music and all that.
Right.
That's one thing we do share in common. I worked in the music industry for over 20 years. I've been with some of the great groups, Intro, Simple Pleasures,
Okay.
And so I know what you do. Wow, that's something. I see. I lost my voice because I was smoking cigarettes. I ain't gonna lie. I smoke cigarettes, smoke weed. So I still have a voice. I do. I'm like you. I still have a voice. I can sing. And that's it.
When you're gonna have to be on my next project, because I plan on when I finally do another project, I want to do a family and friends project. Since I don't have the strong voice that I used to have, I figure I will take my ability now and bring other people together. You know what I'm saying, and let them sing the songs and present them. You know what I'm saying, and present them to the audience. And just like you said that you want your audience to get to know me. I want other people's my audience to get to know other people. So I want to do a Kenton Rogers Family and Friends project.
Oh wow, that sounds great. I would love to do something like that, Kenton.
Yes, sir.
I really would. I would love to do something like that. I have what they call a little seasoning on, little Lowry. I got
Okay.
one Ari on my voice. I still got one more good session, in my system.
All right.
I got one left, and I'm going to use it wisely.
I hear you.
So yes, I would love to do some type of project like that. I've been looking to do something like that.
Okay.
But yeah. So do you perform professionally these days? Like, do you sing or?
I
I know you told me that your voice has changed. I was wanting to know, do you perform anywhere, or do you have?
I do. I do. When I'm invited to, I still perform. Other than that, I just perform in my car, trying to get my voice back. You know what I'm saying? And every now and then, like I just ministered on this past Tuesday down in D.C. at the Washington Times building for the ACLC. And y'all forgive me if y'all see me with my blunt in my hand. I ain't ashamed. I do what I do. I'm gonna do what I do. In the
McRae Kingdom, we don't judge. So
okay,
you do you.
Sound like a plan. Like a plan.
Light up your blunt. Hey, by all means, go on and do that.
All right.
I choose not to do that. Doesn't mean you shouldn't feel comfortable. Do you? I tell people all the time. I love, my biggest thing is transparency and being yourself.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with being yourself. That's one of my pet peeves. Nothing wrong with being yourself. So that's just that. But
yeah, and I'm over here holding it. Ain't even smoking. It just happened to be in my hand.
Hey, listen, that's not because of me. That's because of you. So, like I said,
yes, sir.
I just want you to be comfortable.
Yes, I am very comfortable here.
The reason why I want people to know who you are is because, Kenton, you are so diverse now these days. Listen, I've seen you. I've watched you evolve over the past, I'd say, over the past 11 years. I've watched you evolve into this preacher / by the book preacher, Kenton Rogers, to just, it seems like to me like if I want to put it some way, I would be like, it'd be like a man that had on a whole bunch of clothing. It was like every year or two, you would shed something off and you would just blossom into something else. And then you would shed something off and then you would just blossom. You shed, blossom, until we have what we have with you today. Which, by the way, I have to say, I love your spirit. I love your presence. Everything about you is just so... It's just like being that kid again that looked up to you, man. It really is. I mean,
wow.
I listen to you speak, on your Facebook channel and give your words of encouragement and inspiration and things like that, because that's what I do. I'm a motivational speaker by profession. And, so I love your agenda. Which, by the way, tell people what is your agenda? What is your message? Like you said, you want to really, really be a social media influencer. What does that mean for Ken? What is he doing in social media?
That means, number one, I do believe that my purpose in life is to just love people and help people to see and experience what true unconditional love is. You can't love a person unconditionally and truly and genuinely, while you're at the same time judging them. You understand what I'm saying? I'm just learning how to love people for who they are. I have people around me, that are still on their journey of recovery. You know what I'm saying? From so many different things, but that doesn't mean that they have no value at this time of their life. There's value even right now. I was on a show earlier today with some preachers. It was a very more traditional show, and it was on Warriors to Warriors. And
Mhm.
somehow or another, it came up in there about people and homosexuality and stuff. And number one, I started wondering, well, where the hell this coming from? This show ain't even about that. The show is about becoming from warriors to warriors. So where is the whole thing? So I listened to them speak, but I couldn't just sit there and not say nothing. I had to say to them, well, brother, God delivered you. And praise God, God delivered you. I said, but I've had a ministry specifically to the LGBTQ community, and I don't necessarily agree with what you agree with.
Mhm.
But if God delivered you, then praise be to God. You can talk about deliverance from your perspective. But to think that everybody's going to have the same kind of experience of deliverance that you
Right,
did,
right,
and then let me tell you something. Let's be honest. You call yourself deliverance, but you still look at people and you still think about the things that you're supposed to be delivered from. And
mhm,
according to the scripture says, Jesus said, you say if a man lies with a woman, it's to commit adultery. Jesus said, but I say that for a man to just look upon a woman with lust in his eye is to already commit whatever the sin is. So it
mhm.
ain't about what you do, it's about what you think. The reality is that all of us have sin. All of us have sin. Some stuff is sin and some stuff is perceived sin.
Mhm.
Because everything that you think is sin doesn't mean it is sin
Right.
for a person.
Come on.
Now, if a person is heterosexual and they going out there doing a bunch of homosexual activity, well, you may have to question them. Are you really, really heterosexual? Because
Right,
if you're heterosexual, it seemed to me that you won't be doing a bunch of homosexual stuff.
right,
So
right.
maybe you might be in sin. But for the
Uh-huh.
person who was born that way, for all they know to do is just to live and be who they are.
Right,
You listen, I would never have known that I don't like chitlins until I tasted them.
right.
But I tasted chitlins and I don't like them. I've eaten pig feet and I don't like it.
Come on
But
now.
there are some things that I've eaten that I've tasted that I like. And
Right,
what I like, I like. And I
right.
can't help my taste buds having a taste for the things that they have a taste for, wrong or right.
Okay. I know that's right. You better be saying stuff. Listen, I love it though. I love it. I love it. So many times I meet men of God and they just feel like they have to. Why do they feel like they have to be so stuffy and so appropriate all the time? And that's not, to me, that's not ministry.
Right.
The purpose of a minister is to minister to you and tell you the truth and in the way in which God sees things, not the way he sees them. You
That's
can put a little
right.
of your seasoning on it if you want to, but sometimes a lot of these ministers, they put too much of themselves into into the word when they're preaching the word instead of just preaching the word the way it should be preached.
Right.
They get personal and say, it's just like a friend of mine, a colleague of mine was saying, remember back in the day when men started wearing earrings to church and how the ministers were saying, we all men that wear earrings are going to hell. If you got a fade and you got all these parts in your head, then you're gay and you're going to hell. It was always something, you know what I'm saying? But for me, it was something that they didn't like, not that Christ didn't like. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these ministers these days, they put too much of themselves, their own personal issues into the ministry. And that's what
Right.
causes conflict. Because listen, let's be real. It's okay for you to not like me if I'm gay. That's fine. I'm fine with that. You know, if you don't like me because I'm gay, listen, I'm not trying to change you. Hopefully one day you'll be guided into a space where it really won't make no difference. But for now, if that's the way you feel, I respect that. Do I agree with it? Absolutely not. And that's the mature decision that I've made.
Right.
And I see absolutely nothing wrong with people making that decision. I don't see, you know, you hear so many. Listen, you hear so many things against us as homosexuals in the media, on social media, on Facebook, I've seen some things. Oh my God, Kenton. And we're, you know, it's all in our faces like that. You have to learn how to somehow over time your skin gets tougher and tougher and tougher and tougher. You know, um, and believe it or not, and this is so crazy. As much as I was teased and ridiculed and beat up and gay bashed and stuff in my childhood, never really had any problems as an adult. Never had a problem as an adult. Like when I got my first place, and when I started socializing, I never had problems with people ever.
Right.
You know, um, so my adult life as a gay man was it was okay. I mean, I can go back and do some stuff like child, certain people I wouldn't date and stuff like that. If I can go back and do some stuff, I'd probably be in a different space right now. Who knows? Um, but uh, I love the fact that you're just so yourself now, Kenton. You've changed so much. You have. I mean, you've always been to me this bright, bubbly, just charismatic, talented young man. I've always looked at you that way, But being a follower of yours in the past 11 years, I tell you, you have changed a whole lot, Ken. There were things that you would preach about back in the day, and I would be like, okay. It was a little confusing because you weren't like totally out or whatever. I don't know what to say about that. But and like I said, throughout that time, I would write you. I would write. I would send you instant messages and stuff like that. I don't know if you had ever received them or not. One time you answered me back, and I like my wig like spun around like 10 times. But you wrote back to me, and I was really happy about it. I really was. Like I told you, I was like, he could be Mr. McCray, or I could be Mr. Rogers. And he don't get it. He don't get it. You wasn't getting me. You wasn't getting me. I was ready to move to Maryland and everything, child.
All right.
Yeah, I was. I was ready to move to Maryland.
Wow.
But because you were always just like you are now, you're just so charismatic and don't be scared. My husband, he knows that sometimes I be having attraction to other men and stuff like that. But we ain't got no open marriage, y'all. Don't be writing me. I won't stop. Because you ain't getting nothing. You ain't getting nothing. I'm just gonna hand the phone to Joseph and let him answer. But you're always so charismatic, like you are. You had this beautiful smile. You were just this handsome. I just thought you were so handsome. I said, "Ooh, child, he's fine." I just really like always, And I was proud to know you. I was very proud of you. Very proud of you and very proud to know you. Because when we would see each other sporadically, which was very sporadically, I would say, "Hey, Kenton, you don't remember me?" You'd be like, "No, I don't remember you." Every time I see you, I'd have to say, "You don't remember me?" You'd be like, "No, I don't remember you." It was like this. I saw him about 5-6 times, and he still don't remember who I am. What the hell?
But I remember you now.
Right, married and stuff. I'll see you next lifetime. I'm gonna have to see you next lifetime. Like Erica,
I guess I'll see you next lifetime.
You done messed up. You done missed all of this, all this stuff. You done missed all this. So, but I'm glad that we can see.
Well, it's good to know that I at least had the opportunity, although I'm finding out too late.
Yeah, child, you could have. Yeah.
But guess what? I will tell you this also. When you asked me about where I am now, man, I noticed the picture that you have up there in the background that says "The Mind Unplugged." The Mind Unplugged is actually a program, a format that I use to deal with my mental health, mental illness, and to tear down the stigma. Because last year I had a manic episode, that I was thrown into and everything like that, because I stopped taking my medication, but I'm very, very transparent with people. Let them know I take medication for major depression syndrome, disorder and everything like that. And I have to take my medicine, because if I stop taking my medicine, then I may act like some of the people that I used to see back in the day when I was coming up. Because we had a few people around the ministry that people used to call crazy. And I want you to know that I could be just like them if I don't take my medicine. So that's why I got to take my medicine every day.
Yeah, me too. You know what? They took me off of the medication.
Wow.
They said that it didn't do anything but make me just like, see, Kenton, I'm one of those people. I always have to be doing something.
Okay.
You see, when I was on the medication, I was just so involved with so many things. I was doing so many things, and I started passing out. I started having these panic attacks and passing out. And my therapist said that he was afraid that I was going to exhaust myself, because that's just who I am. I'm always having to do. I kid you not. I used to stay 24 hours just sitting here and listening to music and doing my thing. Like, even now, it's sometimes hard for me. Like, I do my best work at night. So, we have a boutique. We have an online boutique, so I have to go in there and I have to revamp everything and stuff like that. So that's my plan for, today, once I finish this interview with you.
Okay.
Yeah, I just, my they had to take me off the medication. They said they said it turned me into a little robot.
Okay.
A little robot, but I remember early in my mental health issues, because I have bipolar disorder, and I also have, I deal with, just like you, deep depression sometimes. But because of my therapy, I have a very good therapist.
Okay. Me
and the
too.
one thing that I love about her is she listens. Like, she don't say nothing until I'm finished, Okay. And she gives me great advice, and she gives me great tools to use to deal with myself, and people don't understand that. In the Black community, we're still, it's still that stigma of, you're going to the therapist, you're crazy. Going to a therapist, you're crazy, instead of you're going to a therapist to manage or to help your mental health. There's no shame,
Right.
There's no shame in it. Not for me anymore. It used to be. I used to be ashamed to tell people that, I had bipolar disorder and that I dealt with depression and stuff like that. I used to be afraid to tell people that. But I knew that if I was going to be in social media, it was going to be found out. And so I wanted to become comfortable with my mental illnesses. And that's what I did. I learned about what my mental illnesses are and how to manage them. And I think a lot of people don't understand when people say, well, you need to go to the hospital and get help. Because when you go to the hospital and you get help, they will allot you the time to fix yourself, to get yourself together, to learn the tools that you're going to need when you walk out of that hospital door. They teach you all of that stuff, and more of us in our community need to seek out help. And the reason why, or just talking to a therapist, because listen, I feel like this. Even especially our generation, we were traumatized by so many things. There was so many things going on back then. There was crack cocaine, there was fighting, there was killings, and there was just things going on. And you lived in Patterson, so you know what I'm talking about. Even today, man, people tell me, Tramel, don't go to Patterson. Don't go to Patterson. Why not? It's a dangerous place. It's a dangerous place. It's like really dangerous, like in terms of the crime, depending on where you go and stuff like that. But that never stopped me from going where I wanted to go anyway. You know what I'm saying? So, things have just, amazing how things have just changed, outreach. Let's say you had an opportunity to go back to Patterson and do some outreach work. What would you do?
If I had the opportunity to go back to Patterson to do some outreach work, what would I do? I would definitely. I have a passion, and I realize that everyone that is homeless does not necessarily desire to not be homeless. You
Mm-hmm.
know, because there are a lot of people that are living on the street who that's just their decision. They don't want to follow rules no place, and they don't necessarily
Right.
have to be on the street. They just don't want to be in a place where they have to follow rules and they're not able to get their own place at this point in time. But I really have a passion for the homeless. You
Okay.
know, and I have a passion for people, whoever is marginalized or who is ostracized. That's who my passion is for. The people that other people have a problem loving, you know what I'm saying? Send them to me, because my ministry is a ministry for sinners only. For the sinner still and the sinner that's saved by grace. The reality is that we still all sinners. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Either you're a sinner saved by grace or you're just a sinner still. Either
Okay.
one. We have something in common. We all sinners.
Right.
But thank God that God looks beyond my faults and he sees my needs. You know what I'm saying? When other people want to look at my faults, God sees my needs. So if I went back to Patterson, I would just go into every place that I can, just letting people understand and showing them, not telling them, but showing them what unconditional love really looks like.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
You've said that several times. Unconditional love. You said that
Yeah.
several times, and I love it every single time you say it because that's what we need to be preaching. We preach love one another, but to have the ability to give unconditional love takes a lot.
Right.
Like I unconditionally love my husband, even though he get Kenton, my husband, sometimes he make me want to bust him upside his head. It's my husband, I love him unconditionally. Everything. I don't care, good, bad, or ugly. And unconditional love means that person that you love unconditionally can commit a murder. You're supposed to be sitting right there in that courtroom when it's time for them to get sentenced. You're supposed to be sitting right there. That's the unconditional love.
Right. They supposed to be able to fart and you still love them.
Yeah, that's the love that God gives us. That's the love that Jesus gave us when he was here. He gave us unconditional love, meaning he didn't care. Jesus didn't care. You could listen, what was Mary Magdalene? We ain't even going to get into that. But that's what people need to understand about the church. Now, I'm going to give you a phrase, right? And I want you to tell me what you think of it. Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? What are your words on it?
Okay.
There was a trans woman in social media that said the black church is going to be the downfall of the black community. Tell me what you think.
I agree and I disagree. I agree with her that it's going to be the downfall. I disagree because I believe that it's already the downfall.
So what do we do?
Well, all we can do is we got to take baby steps. You know what I'm saying? And we just got to continue to be active. That's why I won't let someone in front of me talk about and gay bash or anything. You know what I mean? I could easily keep my mouth shut and draw no attention to myself. But true love means sacrifice. And so if you really love someone, you got to be able to sacrifice. And sometimes you have to sacrifice your reputation and the way people look at you to stand up for somebody else that can't stand up for themselves.
Right.
And that's what true love is. If you really love me, can you stand up for me when I'm not in position to stand up for myself? And if everybody, listen, it's so simple. If we would all consider ourselves in any situation, say for instance, you have a person that's heterosexual, right? And they have whatever biases that they have against people who are homosexual or gay or lesbian, but if they ask themselves, if I was gay or lesbian, or if I was born gay or lesbian, or if I was a homosexual, how would I want people to treat me?
Right.
And then you treat people the way you want to be treated and not treat people the way that you treat them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You have to start asking yourself, listen, I don't have anything in me that feel like I'm a woman trapped inside of a man's body.
Right.
But if I was that, I would want people to love me that way, a particular way. And so that's why I can love people when I know that they're transsexuals. You know what I'm saying? I can love them because if I was transsexual, I want people to love me.
Right.
We know what love is. We got to be willing to give it just as much as we receive it. But most of us want to be recipients of love, but we don't want to be givers of the same love that we're recipients of.
Yeah, that statement for me is really strong and it's really deep. And to me, it's very, very true as well. You know, I do believe that the Black, and this is with all due respect to the Black church, but I do believe that the Black church is in some way the downfall of the Black community when it comes to communication and ignorance of oneself. You know, the Black community can be very, very judgmental, number one, but focus on some of the most just idiotic things. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And the one, if I like, I just really think that Black people need to get with the LGBTQ train. They really need to get with it and understand that we are not going anywhere. You can ridicule us all you want to. You can tease us. You can do things like Kenton. Several weeks ago, I did a report on my channel about a young man. He was 10 years old. His mother discovered that he was gay, and she allowed her other son to shave the word gay in his head and cut all of his hair off, bald. And they made him look like a little old man. They made him look like George Jefferson because they just left the sides on and then carved and shaved the word gay in his head and beat him on social media.
Wow.
And
they need to go to jail.
Well, the kid was the good thing was the child was removed from the home.
Okay.
Because and which I really don't understand why people just continually do this. Why they get on social media and do things like that to their children and think that nobody's gonna do anything about it. Well,
right.
They took this little boy out the home, and rightfully so.
Praise God.
But what's sad is that we have been conditioned to believe that, you know. And see, I'm not making an excuse for the Black community. One of my sayings is, Kenton, we will never be able to join the fruits of our labor. We'll never be able to enjoy the fruits of our evolution until we as a people can come together and sit down and have the hard conversations that we need to have. We need to fix things. There's things that we need to morally fix. You feel what I'm saying? And so we put a Band-Aid on it for so long, especially in the Black community with the division of Black gay men and Black gay women. You know, believe it or not, we have been treated the worst. We have been tormented and tortured. I know friends, I know people. One of my friends, he was tortured and beat to death by a group of men. I myself was in the hospital for a month for being gay bashed. I know others that have lost their lives. My friend Chris, he lost his life simply just because he was gay.
Right.
Somebody didn't like it, you know. But I have to say this, we've come a long way from that. We really have come a long way from that. And that's because the conversations are starting to be made. They're starting to be had, meaning that even the new church is trying to change the way in which they look at homosexuality now.
Yes.
You know, believe it or not, I didn't hear a lot of gay slurs and things like that coming up in church. You know, as a teenager, or as a young adult, I really didn't hear. I heard sometimes some ministers would say, "Oh, if you're gay, you're going to hell." Somebody, the one said Blue Moon. Never really got it. Um, and I'm grateful for that. I am. I'm really grateful for that. But a lot of this young generation who's never experienced some of the things that we've experienced, um, don't have. They have this sense of, oh, whatever, you know, whatever y'all went through it, y'all went through it. You know, can you honestly say as an adult, what were you ever ridiculed? Were you ever, was there ever a time where you just broke down because it was just too much for you, for people to try, that were coming after you because they were saying that you were gay or whatever? Have you ever had any of those experiences?
Oh, I've definitely had those experiences. Like I said, I had that experience when I was at Legree Baptist Church, and people coming at me and everything. And I've just always been a private person. I just didn't want people to know my business, period, whether
Yeah.
I was with a man or a woman. You know
And
what I mean?
that's what I always thought about you. I always thought, the reason why people like, I've had friends look at friends and say, look at him, now y'all know he gay. And he trying to act like he ain't. See, that wasn't the attitude that I took with you. I
Okay,
always knew you were who you were. I didn't care.
right.
I didn't care whether or not you were straight, whether you were gay. I was hoping that you was gay, child. But
Okay.
I was hoping you was on my side of the fence. But, I what I appreciated about you is that you just, I don't know, was it, see, I I always saw you as confidence. I always
Okay.
saw your confidence, when you were out and about. And I that's what one of the things that I loved about you. You just had this ability to talk to people and preach the word and preach it in a way in which it had understanding to it. Um, yeah. Uh, so what is Kenton doing now?
Kenton is most certainly number one for the first time in his life, like never before. I think one of the biggest things for me is that I always tried to make the world a better place for other people, but never ever was really a recipient of that myself. I wanted to affirm other people, and I wanted them to be affirmed. I wanted them to know that God loved them in spite of, what I mean, or regardless to what other people say, that God loved them unconditionally. Even when 25 years ago, man, I transitioned our ministry to being an open and affirming ministry. And that wasn't considered popular back then. You know
Right?
what I'm saying?
I
Now it's more
remember.
popular, but I even had the gay children calling our church a gay church when it wasn't a gay church. It was a church for everybody.
Right.
It was for a church for the whosoever will, whoever you are, you can come and be who you are. Just like the heterosexual could come and be themselves, you could come and be yourself. I was doing commitment ceremonies for same gender loving couples way before marriage became legal.
Mhm,
You
mhm.
know, I would
Yeah.
do covenant ceremony, and I caught flat. I had preachers who stopped coming to fellowship with me. I had preachers who would come fellowship with me, but stop inviting me to fellowship with them. You know what I'm saying? And so I've experienced it all. But I'm also seeing some of those same people to this day who said that I was before my time. They're now doing the same thing that I was doing back then.
Is that a
So
good thing?
was I really before my time, or were they behind my time?
That's right. What is that a good thing? Do you think that's
That's
a
a good. It's a good thing that I was before my time, because I am an apostle for sure. I am a trailblazer. I don't follow paths. I'm not a pathfinder. I'm a trailblazer. If
you're
I'm
right?
not doing, that's why at this point in time I'm now about to start a 420 fellowship for people who are Christians or who are people of faith and spirituality, but they smoke marijuana. You know what I'm saying? Because as you know, for years we have had there's been a bias against people who smoke weed. But
Yeah.
nowadays it's becoming legal, and then you put people in jail before, and now the very same thing you put people in jail for is now legal to do. What do you do with all the people that were in jail before?
Right.
It became legal. So now we have to tear down that stigma,
Right.
as well, that because a person smokes or partakes of the great green earth, you know what I'm saying? All
Uh-huh.
these other medications, I take 20 some pills a day.
You and me both.
20 some pills I take a day.
And
You know what I'm saying? And
sometimes
you
you
mean to
just
tell
want
me,
to.
huh?
Yeah. I said sometimes you just want to just sit back and smoke your blunt and relax.
Exactly. And you mean to tell me I can take all of those medicines that fill up a bunch of toxins, but I can't smoke something like the green grass that I smoke, that helps me with pain, because I can't take nothing else because I'm fourth stage chronic kidney disease, is what they say. But I am
Okay.
not on dialysis, and neither have I had to have a kidney transplant as of yet. You know what I'm saying? But the next stage is fifth stage with his end stage renal disease. And so
Right.
I can't take Percocets for pain. I can't take, oxycodone for pain because it's too harsh on my kidneys that are already
Right.
suffering. So for me, it's easier for me to smoke marijuana. But guess what? There's some side effects to it. You know what one of the side effects is? One of the side effects is that I may have slurred speech after I smoke. But guess what? It's like any other medicine that I take. They say they all have side effects, but the
Yeah.
benefits outweigh the side effects.
Come on now.
The benefit of me smoking marijuana outweighs the side effect of me having a little slurred speech after I get finished smoking it.
Okay. See, and I like you. I was just diagnosed with stage 4 kidney failure as well.
Wow.
But I like you. I'm just after my optimism. Do you have the optimism bug
I
too?
sure do. I
I
sure
have the
do.
optimism bug, and it's like, child, it's just something else I got to deal with, and I'll deal with it.
Yeah.
You know, it's a part of my survival, so I'm just gonna do whatever I have to do. You know, type thing. And I, like you, I have chronic pain because of the neuropathy and stuff like
Right.
that. I used to be on the hard drugs like the oxycodone and stuff like that. I take something very, very mild now, and everything is great.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Everything is great. Um, wow, Kenton, we have so much in common. Even
Yeah.
today, as adults, we have so much in common. Of course, back then we were both on the come up in terms of singing and stuff like that. And my singing took it where I wanted it to go. I don't know if your singing took you where you wanted to go. How many albums did you actually end up making?
I made two solo CDs. I
Okay.
have been special guest on a number of other CD projects, and I have maybe about 12 compilation projects out that have music on it. Plus I had done a little R&B project called Confession of a Preacher Man, and a song on it called Riding High.
Uh-huh.
But I have a whole lot of R&B music that I'm about to try to get out to some of these artists.
That's what I
Uh,
was going to ask you. Is there anything that we can purchase today? Like if I wanted to purchase something, can I purchase something?
Yeah, you can definitely purchase stuff. I have music is out there, mine on all the digital platforms, Spotify,
iTunes. iTunes.
Pandora, Amazon,
Uh-huh.
in iTunes, it's on there as well. So it's all out there on all the digital platforms. And I got some new music that's going to be coming out. I was about to release You Raise Me Up, which is a cover of Josh Groban's song You Raise Me Up back in 2019 before I had the second stroke. But once I had the stroke, I just put that on the shelf. But I'm trying to work my voice back to the place where I can get back to singing it and finally pull it off the shelf and release it as well. So hopefully by 2022, we'll definitely have some new music out and be preparing to record some new projects as well.
Great, great. Yeah, I just pulled your album up on iTunes.
All
Yeah,
right.
I'm excited. Now I can go and listen to. I can go and listen to you. Um, where does Kenton see himself in the next 2 years?
In the next 2 years, I see myself back to performing on the worldwide stage, singing with my voice better than it's ever been before, getting my range back and even getting it back higher than it was before. I see myself opening up a transitional housing program called Hands Up, based upon the premise that we teach people how to fish and feed them for a lifetime rather than give them a fish and feed them for a day. If you only give them a fish and feed them for a day, they're going to keep knocking at your door every day for another fish. But if you teach them how to fish, they won't have to keep coming back to knock on your door.
Right.
You teach them how to fish and they can teach somebody else how to fish.
Right.
You know, so I just want to I look forward to just empowering people more, you know, because I believe I'm 53 now. I'm probably not going to live to be 106 years old. I pretty much kind of gather. Doesn't mean that I won't. Doesn't mean that I won't. I believe it's possible.
Yeah, sure you can do it.
Yeah. But I also say that probably I have more years behind me than what I have ahead of me. But I plan to make the best of the years that I have ahead of me. But I'll tell you something. About 2-3 weeks ago, man, I had to check myself into the hospital because I was about to commit suicide. But I didn't want to die. But I knew what I was about to do, so I checked myself in to protect myself from myself. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do to protect yourself from yourself. A lot of time we blame so much stuff on the devil, but a whole lot of stuff has to do with the enemy inside my own flesh.
Right. That's right.
You know, and so I checked myself into the hospital, and I'm able to say that I made it to a 53rd birthday because I had enough sense to check myself in and get some help.
Right. Praise God.
Yeah.
Praise God. Yes. Yes. I mean, man, and that's what I taught. That's what I mean. That's what I need. I mean, we need people like you in the presence of social media to tell people your message. You know, your message is a strong one. It is one of substance. You know, it's not just something that people just get told every day. You know, and in the wake of what has happened to us in the past year, man, we need you. We need people like you, Kenton. You're phenomenal. You really are. You really are phenomenal. Well, those are all the questions that I have for you today. Maybe perhaps, you know, you can come back and you know, give us some more. Maybe we'll do a live show the next time.
All right.
Because people, I want y'all to get to know this man. Let me tell you something. He is phenomenal. His movement, the things that he's doing, the way he's moving is all that. All that. It's been a pleasure, Kenton.
It's been my pleasure. I've been honored to be here on Up Close and Personal.
Yes, it's been a pleasure.
With King Jamel.
Yes, that's me. His Majesty. They know who I am. Don't get see, the crown is back there. Crown is right here. Here it go. They know who I am. They know who I am, King.
All right.
Oh, yes.
That's what's up.
I wear mine proudly.
I hear you. I hear you.
Yes, they know who I am. But, you know, guys, I'm so glad that you joined us today for Up Close and Personal and got a chance to know this man right here, His Majesty Kenton Rogers. I'm going to officially king you. You are king in the McCray Kingdom. So from now on, you are His Majesty as well. His Majesty.
Yes, sir.
Rogers.
Thank you.
Yes. Guys, make sure that you're watching us on all social media platforms. Of course, you guys know what those are. And please, by all means, make sure that you donate to the McCray Kings platform and also Kenton's information. If anyone would like to contribute to his movement, will be in the description section of this video. So anybody that wishes to donate, or if you want to, just call me, give me a call, let me know. But we will make sure that we get Kenton's Cash App. Do you have Cash App? You have Cash App, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll make sure we get Kenton's cash app so that we may give you guys a way to donate to his platform, which is a great one, guys. I hope that you've enjoyed this interview, and please, as I tell you guys always, write to me. Let me know what you thought of the interview, and if you want to, I want to have Kenton back. I want to have
All
him.
right.
So, if you guys are in agreement with that, send me some emails and let me know what's going on, what's going on in your mind. With all that being said, guys, we're gonna get on out of here because Ken got things to do. I got things to do, and that's just that. Again, Kenton, it's been a pleasure to have a childhood friend like yourself here with me, and I hope the next time we can do a up close and personal in person. Hopefully,
All right.
very soon. But until then, we're gonna bid you good day. So I'm just gonna
Thank you,
put you
sir.
backstage, but don't go nowhere because we still gotta have our little chit chat.
All right.
I'm just gonna put you backstage. All right.
All right.
Here we go. Thank you guys for joining me today. It was great. It was just great, guys. Just great. I hope that you enjoyed Kenton Rogers, and please, by all means, send me some feedback on the interview as to whether you liked it or not. With that being said, I'm going to get on out of here. Y'all walk in love, peace, sunshine, happiness, and always remember, it's Team McCray all damn day. Talk to you soon.